It's Hollie's Hotspurs back with another one. Chatting all things Tottenham, we're second to none. Special guests every time, if it's win, lose or draw. The passion is high like Harry Kane when he scores. Or when Lloris makes a world-class save. We got Højbjerg running the mid every game. Settle down, stick around, share your thoughts with the panel. And make sure you're subscribing to the channel. Coys.
Hello, yes, and welcome to Hollie's Hotspurs Live, another transfer edition special because we are still making moves in this transfer window. And with me tonight to discuss everything that's going on at the minute, I am joined by another three fabulous guests. This time, Patrick is here, ladies and gents. He's rocking his yellow shirt. He's loving life on this fine Monday. Patrick, how are you, my friend?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Apologies for last week. I was engrossed on the terrace, top six show. Couldn't get off. This week I said no, I have to get off on time, and obviously I'm here. So yeah, can't wait, man. Happy to be here. Thank you for having me, as always.
I was going to say, it's nice to have you, Patrick, on time, but then I wasn't on time. So my apologies this time. And also joining us again, we are joined by Max. Max, how are you this evening?
Yeah, I'm very well. Good to be back on the channel. And obviously, like you said, lots to talk about today. So, yeah, it should be a good one.
It really should be. And like I said, we've already signed a player, obviously, last week. And we're going to talk about him first off, which will be fabulous. But before we get on to that, I'd also like to welcome in Jay. Jay, how are you, my friend?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. Happy that we're actually doing some business. It's crazy to think a couple of years ago where we were at with transfers, and now we're getting excited for a transfer window. It's a very weird experience.
It is indeed, but it's a nice experience. It's been, like you said, it's been a while since I've been this excited about a transfer window, and we're only in July. So that is a great feeling. Thank you to everybody that is in the chat as well. Evening, everyone. Hope we are doing well as well. And let's crack on with this show, because obviously, first of all, we need to talk about Big Richie. I'm going to call him Big Richie from now on because he has joined from Everton for 50 mil plus a 10 million add-on. So Patrick, I'll come to you first. How are you feeling about this guy joining our club?
Over the moon. And I know we were getting, a few salty rival fans saying, 60 million, does he even start and all of this nonsense. But at the end of the day, big clubs do this. They add depth and quality in all areas. The fact that you're questioning will he start shows how good our front three is. But we all know Richarlison is a very good player, Everton's best player. And I take it back. I love the fact that we've gone out and taken Everton's best player, Brighton's best player. We've seen these gems. We know how good they are. They're Premier League proven. They can hit the ground running, and we've taken them. So we strengthened us. I know, we've weakened them, but it doesn't really matter. They're not our direct rivals. But the point is, we've got some of the best players from other teams in the Premier League. Richarlison is a very good player. If you would have told me a year ago that we would have bought in Richarlison at the beginning of the window, I would have never believed it. So it just goes to show this time last year, we were all pretty much pissed off that we had been, through basically a manager merry-go-round. Nuno was just appointed and we had no idea what direction we were heading in, if Harry Kane was going to stay, what was happening with certain players. Now there's direction. We know where the club are going, what they're trying to do. And yeah, man, Richarlison, good for 12 to 15 goals a season. We know he scores all types of goals. Even when I look back at some of his highlights, I'm like, he's actually scored some really good goals. Pots up with headers, overhead kicks, can dribble and beat a man. He's a pesky player. Players aren't going to like playing against him. The Everton faithful love him. They were really sad and distraught to see him go. You saw loads of kids all over the timeline crying and upset that he's gone. A lot of people saying he's been their best player and, he's a fan favourite. And then also, you just know how instrumental he was to that team. But a lot of fans gave him their blessing and said that they're happy that he came to us as opposed to other teams. And the thing that excites me the most about him is that he's backed himself to come here. He knows how good our front three is. He knows obviously how good Harry Kane, Heung-min Son and Kulusevski's hit the ground running, but he still backs himself to try and get in this team and add quality to it. And I like that because other players, obviously the first thing that comes up is, I'm not going to start, so I'm not going to go there. But the fact that he's willing to come here and show how good he is and show his worth, I'm really happy.
100%. I think you've pretty much hit the nail on the head because obviously we've spoken about other players that didn't want to come because of game time, this, that, and the other. But Max, it's true. Like Patrick's kind of said, whatever team he's played for, he's worn that shirt with pride and he's done a proper shift for him. So I'm hoping that obviously maintains at Spurs as well.
He's Brazilian.
Hey.
He only cost 60 million.
Go on, Max. Go on.
I'm looking forward to it. I doubt it's going to catch on, especially maybe not my verse. And that's why I don't carry on singing it because. But look, I'm hoping we haven't frightened him off, or I haven't frightened him off, because the fact he actually has seen that on Twitter is quite scary. So I actually went and saw. So I was, mate, before I start talking about him, I have to just say I do apologise to anyone that has seen that chant, but I
loved it. I loved it, Max.
I looked at Twitter, right, and you know where it says like it caps at like 20 plus for like notifications. And I was just like, oh. You know, like
what have I
if
done?
that's YouTube and it's like and it's views, I'll be buzzing. But when it's your notifications on Twitter, So excellent signing, and obviously that's why I just thought I was trying to get just some good vibes and just show people that I'm happy that he's signed for Spurs. Like it's a big deal. It's nice that we've actually signed someone that's going to play or compete with Kane, you know, and or when Kane needs to rest, you've got another great backup striker. Like Pat said, he's backing himself to come when you know he's got the best striker in the league playing at the same team. So it's exciting all round, man. I mean, we've got only a few weeks into the transfer window. We've already done like big business, plenty of time left for more signings. It is so exciting to be a Spurs fan at the moment, and it's got to a stage already where you're thinking, like once one's signed, you want to be linked with the next one, linked with the next one.
We're getting
greedy.
greedy.
It's hard to like not fall and be greedy, but Conte's implementing that into us where I feel like he's going to be the reason that when we actually do eventually win something, that's how teams become greedy and wanting to win more and more and more. Mm-hmm. And because we haven't had that for a while, we've always just thought, we'll do it next season, or we'll have a go next season. We'll do our best here, there. Once we actually we've been to a couple of finals now recently. It's time to actually step up, and this is the season. Like it's make or break now. And to actually see that we're actually doing business this early on just shows we are going to be a force next season, 100%, 100%. And I just can't wait. Do you remember that season at the Lane we went unbeaten? Like we need to get back to that. Get back to that, and you go into every home game expecting or 90% 3 points. Then you've only got to focus on your away games. I know as mad as that sounds, but you want your home stadium to be a fortress, and there's no reason why it can't this season, especially with like that top four, the strikers, the attackers. That's scary. I don't know who actually wants to play against that. No one. So we bulk up our defense like going forward, and we're going to be a force.
We really are. And I think, like, obviously, we've spoken about, Richarlison's managed to get 10 goals and 5 assists and a struggling Everton side. Obviously, he stepped up when DCL was injured. But, Jay, like Max and Patrick have already kind of said, that fact that he can be so versatile, it just adds another edge. And the fact that he's also hungry and wanted to join a UCL team just highlights that so much.
I think that's the thing with Richarlison, where he can play anywhere along the front three. It means that he's not just a backup for Son, he's not just a backup for Kane, and he's not just a backup for Kulusevski as well. He's a backup for all three. So, you know, you're spending 50 million on a player who can effectively play 3 positions. That the stick that we got when we signed him was obviously the value, but you know, we talked about this. If you look at Manchester City's bench, name one of those players that goes to another team for less than 50 million. Around that, like Jesus was sat on City's bench and he's now gone to Arsenal for 45. So spending 50 million on a player that might not get in the first team with the 5 substitutes rule this year is not so ludicrous if you think about it, because if teams are going to want to compete with Liverpool and City, you're going to need those quality players to bring off the bench. And I think he shows grit. He's a little bit of a shithouse, which I absolutely love in a Tottenham shirt. For so many years, we've been too much of a nice team. And seeing players like that, Conte with the mentality he has, that we're starting to bring in these players that have got a winning mentality and won't back down from a fight. And I think that really showed last season with the squad's mentality and the amount of results that we dug out from nowhere because we just had that grit and determination. And I just think he's another player that fits into that mentality, which is, like Max said, even if we don't win something under Conte, it's really going to lay the landmark of where this club can go with regards to a mentality change of just like, oh yeah, well, we play good football, but we're not going to win anything, or we'll always play the right way. You won't see us cheating or doing like little things like that. I think he's a brilliant signing all round.
No, and I think you're correct. I mean, like Roy said here as well, pointing on your point, Jay, about obviously the gritness and the determination. Romero's kind of that shithouse in the back as well. And it'll be quite interesting, like Roy says, whether they'll get on and things. Obviously, what happened last time they played against each other. So, sticking with that, Patrick, I also want to talk about obviously the fact that on Instagram he's also been very vocal from joining Tottenham already. I think he posted a picture or something, Bella in like they're having a fight with each other and someone's on the floor.
Yeah. So he's fully invested and he knows what a rivalry means. I mean, he was when Everton beat Liverpool, he was instrumental in that game. I think he scored a goal and assisted the goal, or got 2 goals, something like that. He's scored many a goal against us. When Everton beat Arsenal, he scored their winner. The guy pops up in big games, and I think a lot of people are like, oh, but he paid 50 to 60 million. That's too much. But if you look at how important he was to Everton, and like I said, the amount of goals he's got for them, plus you look at he works his arse off. I was checking his stats against all of the forwards in the league, and he pretty much wins the ball more than any other of the forwards in terms of tackling, intercepting. So he always puts a shift in. There's a bit of a lazy narrative that he's, lazy and doesn't work hard, but he actually does. He does a lot of running, so it'll help us from the, defending out from the front line as well. And the guy doesn't hide. He doesn't shirk out of a tackle. He doesn't hide during the derby. He's up for it. You already saw him post that on his story, so he knows already. He wants to rile up the fans and obviously get us on his side. And I'm looking forward to it, man. He brings a different edge to our, our front three are quite silky, very technical. Kane obviously is one of the best in the world. So is Son. Kulusevski can definitely get there. But Richarlison brings a different edge, a different dynamic to that. And but we all know he's very good as well. So yeah, I think it's a great signing. Only teams or the mentality of fans that don't want to push forward will talk about the price tag. Oh, we're paying 50 million or 60 million for someone that's going to sit on the bench. Who cares? Like you're saying, Holes, when you look at all the other teams, they've got quality and abundance on the bench. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you want a player, he's good, you pay the price and you get it in. Stop trying to haggle or stop going for our second or third or fourth choice targets just to save a bit of money, because that never works. And in the long run, we end up sending them, or you can't get rid of them. So just pay the money, get them in, and then we can obviously, get to grips with preseason and push on from there.
Yeah, you're right. I think that's the thing. I think for too long, as we all know, Mr. Levy's normally haggling, like you say, for peanuts for players. But now he's gone like, right, Conte wants this guy. Let's go get him. We don't care what the fee is. We're paying it. And Max, sticking with this, obviously, I know lots of people are saying about the price tag, but lots of people are also comparing him to Jesus. And I think Sky have been one of the people that really riled me up today to do that, because I think they're 2 different players for 2 different roles. I think that's the thing everybody's kind of forgetting. Jesus is going into Arsenal to be their main striker. Richie, for us, like we've all said, is going to be that rotation player. So do you think it's wrong to compare the 2 straight up?
It's always going to happen with Tottenham Arsenal, though. That's the problem. If it was the other way around, they'd be saying, oh, Jesus is... Like, obviously, they'd be saying Richarlison's the best in the world, and like vice versa. So, in that debate, you're never going to be able to win an argument with a gooner. That's just is what it is. Then it'll end up coming down to what happens next season, really.
But saying that, Max, sorry to jump in, but the funny thing is that Arsenal fans, as in AFTV, a lot of them were out there before.
That clip where they even said, didn't they?
In 2 separate clips, they both said, as in Turkish, Robbie, Lee Judges, and I think there's someone else have all said that they would rather Richarlison over Jesus. So it's come back to bite them in the arse. And this was before either of them knew they were going to be linked to either player. So
that's it. They're both good.
Yeah,
they're both quality. But I'm not going to lie. Like he wouldn't have been in City's rotation game for a few seasons now, would he? Like he's up there with the best. It just City don't play that style of football. When he's getting older, he wants to play first team football. It was a decision that we all knew was going to happen. Oh. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, yeah, I don't know why I done that last time, but bloody Siri. Oh no, I just said it, didn't I?
You said it again.
But no, it's one of those things where he's just thinking, I know we sat here, we absolutely despise Arsenal, we hate them, but to him, it's just another club that could potentially do well next season. He can go there, be their main man. And it would have been the other way around if we got Jesus and they got Richie. So the fact that it's a tough one to say, oh, who's got the better deal? It's just what club needed that type of player, and Jesus fit the bill more for them than Richarlison. I'm more excited to see Richarlison. I don't know why. I just feel like he has that bit of flair about him, and the fact that Jay said he's got that. He's gonna be a mischief for other teams. He's not gonna. If he gets elbowed in the face, he's elbowing someone else in the face. Like he's not gonna be. Like when the people always say, "Oh, if this is very just changing the topic completely," but you remember you have the minority that say, "Oh, if Messi ever came to the Premier League, he'd get wiped out on a cold night in Stoke back in the day." It's like, well, no, he's good enough not to have that. So the fact that Richarlison is just, I don't know, he's just an exciting player. I mean, I've gone totally off point. I can't actually remember what you were asking, to be honest. But that was it about the Sky Sports comparing. It's like, one, they do this on purpose. They're not stupid. They love getting the social media talking. And also, Arsenal fans on Twitter, they have like the biggest following on Twitter, Arsenal. Like in terms of just, can you say idiots, of just ones that just jump to every post and just want to get involved? I mean, they're the ones that you have in your notifications if you say something bad about them, like within 5 seconds. It's like they live and breathe Twitter. So
100%.
Sky Sports aren't stupid.
No, they're not. And that's the thing. I took the bait and bited. It just annoys me that when you look at it from a footballing brain, they're two different signings for two different teams. Jay, I'll come to you for the last point on Richie. And obviously, I know you said that he's a shithouse. He'll be great for us in that kind of sense. But you kind of on the same kind of vibe as well. Like, just ignore the price tag. Ignore the fact that Arsenal think they've got one up on us for some strange reason at the moment. But I think Richarlison, for the last point, is a very, very good signing.
He's proven in the Prem. That's the biggest thing about this signing, is he's proven in the Prem. And if you get a lot of South American players that come over, Arsenal picked up this Marquinhos that I reckon won't get any minutes next season. That's probably going to get clipped when he scores a hat-trick on the opening day. But, like they picked up this Marquinhos that no one's heard of, that's, some wonder kid, and he probably won't play the whole first season or go out on loan to Boreham Wood. Richarlison is like proven in the Premier League. In a struggling Everton team. And the thing is, for me, when we talk about the comparison to Jesus, is Arsenal, I want to see Jesus out of Pep Guardiola's system. Because I think Pep Guardiola could put anyone into that system with the right coaching and make him the player that he is. Let's see what Jesus is like, not with Pep Guardiola's, coaching. And he's got his understudy, Arteta, coaching him. Obviously, I know they've got history. Obviously, when Pep was assistant manager, but I just think price. We'll only talk about the price tag at the end of the season. There was a lot of talk about Juventus rejects in January last year, and they turned out to be probably two of our best players for the second half of the season. There'll be a lot of talk about Richarlison's price this year, but at the end of the season, stats will talk. Don't get me wrong, I think Jesus will get goals, but my question is if Arsenal have given Nketiah a new contract, how many games is Jesus going to start? Or are Arsenal going to play a 2? Or is that going to cause a problem? Because there's no way on God's earth Jesus has left City to go and sit on Arsenal's bench to watch Eddie Nketiah play. And there's no way Eddie Nketiah will be happy getting a new contract and then having...
Well, Joe, I actually thought they signed Thierry Henry, giving him number 14. So that just shows what they think of him. And then, like you said, they've gone and signed another striker to play this. So... they made such a big deal of Nketiah and made this signing on, like the video with Edu giving him the shirt. And then suddenly they've wiped. I haven't heard nothing about Nketiah since then. It's just been all Jesus. So, I mean, not that I care, but if you're going to give someone the opportunity, let him have his opportunity. And then it's like they've just kind of wiped that away. So whether they're going to play 2 up front, I don't know.
It's like a backup plan. It's like they've gone, do you know what? You're going to be our boy, homegrown. He's going to cut. He's going to come through. He's made a couple of good performances last year. Obviously, not in the North London derby the second time round. I didn't even know he was playing. And then you've gone, right, we're going to give you a chance. Going to get this new deal. Like you said, here's the shirt. But there is a little risk that you might not hit off the blocks. So we're going to get this established Premier League striker in, just in case you're not good enough. Don't worry, he's not going to take your spot. But if he does bad goals, you are going on the bench.
From what I know, and this is facts, Nketiah wasn't standing up the top of the roof doing the old like hands and this. So they clearly value Jesus a lot more than one of their own. So
It will be very interesting. And I didn't want to go down the route of comparing because I think that's kind of what I did say in the comment about Sky. But I think it is true. I think we just need to leave both of them alone, see what happens at the end of the season and see their stats. But what I do know is after we obviously spoke about the Juve rejects, they've come in and they've come off the blocks running. Sorry. So with Richarlison coming in with that massive price tag, he's got a massive point to prove. And I think he's one of these players that will eat it up and will do very well with it. But obviously, moving slightly away from Richarlison, obviously we are heading to Korea on Saturday, and rumours has come out that there will be 2 new signings before we depart. Now, obviously, the first one that's coming out of the woodworks, Patrick, is Lenglet. Now, he's 27, he's from Barca, and the only thing that's making me wonder that this is probably going to go through very, very soon is the fact that Christensen is obviously moving to there. Fabrizio is not said here we go, but it's pretty much there. So with that being said, he'll be pushed down the pecking order. So with Lenglet, how do you feel on the guy, Patrick?
Oh man, it's a bit. I don't know, man. Okay, I'll take it back. When I first heard the news, I was really not happy, and I was like, "Oh, why are we taking this bum?" Basically, I seen that he'd been offered to a lot of clubs. The irony is, last year we were interested in him. Paratici's always liked him, and he wanted to try and bring him in, and he basically rejected us, said he wouldn't come. He wants Champions League football. He wasn't sure on Nuno. Fast forward a year, we're now in the Champions League. I think he went from playing like 27, 30 odd games the year before last to only starting about 13 games the season just gone. So he's dropped down the pecking order massively at Barcelona, and now it seems like he's up for coming. So it's like the tables are turned massively. But whenever I've seen him play, not saying I watch Barcelona a lot, but I watched the Champions League game when they played Juventus and he gave away a penalty in that game. There was a game against another team where every time I've seen him play, he's had a stinker, basically. So I'm not too infused with it. I've seen a lot of clips since. A lot of my friends have tried to talk me around saying he's great on the ball, he's silky, he's smooth, he's essentially an upgrade on Ben Davies, or he can be at least backup for Ben Davies. So to be honest, Hollie, I don't know how I feel. I know my initial thoughts was no, keep him away, we can do better. I'm told it would be a loan and we'll still go after, you know, a number one target at LCB. So I don't know, man. If he's the only left-sided or central-sided with a left foot player we bring in, I'm not going to be that happy. But I have seen, I'm not going to lie, since it's all come out and I've watched a lot of stuff on him, it has won me over. He does look really good. So I don't know how I feel, because the clips and the highlights are showing me one thing, but I've seen him in games and I've seen him be shocking, give away penalties, have that lapse of concentration. But then I'm also thinking about, like, I've seen Ben Davies have stinkers, I've seen Eric Dyer have stinkers, and I know what Conte's done with them to turn it around. So I'm bamboozled at the moment. My head's all over the place. But I do know his quality, but I've also seen, I don't know, man, I'm up and down. So I don't think I've really answered your question. So, because I'm as confused as you lot probably are hearing that. So
maybe at the end, sorry.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know.
Like, it is different. I think I was the same as you, because I was a bit like, I know this geezer is, but he hasn't been playing a lot.
Exactly.
I'm not too sure about it. And if he's coming from there to the Premier League, is it going to happen? But then I've got in the back of my mind, obviously, about Kuzveski and obviously Bentancur, and I'm thinking, oh, hang on a minute. But obviously, Max, the fee is roughly around €5 million. Now, if that was the case on a loan deal, regardless of whether he's not playing great at the minute, but knowing that Conte is going to obviously have him under his wing, would that probably tempt you to have him?
Yeah, knowing that he's definitely not coming in and going straight into the starting lineup and being like another main man at the back. The fact that it's loan, and we've always been told, like, by every journalist on Twitter and whatever, that we will get another solid centre back, makes me feel a little bit more comfortable. Like I've said, like Pat, I haven't seen that many games of him. I know that he was decent for Sevilla like a few seasons ago, and I know he can ping the ball. But, you know, I mean, Conte loves players that can, like, quick pass and move. We've seen that's how we played towards the back end of last season. Just get the balls quickly up the pitch, and then someone there to finish. So maybe he's just thinking it's a different option, you know. If having players at the back that can pass 30, 40 yards, I know it's becoming more common these days. Just that's how the way football's going. Players are just better on the ball than they used to be 10 years ago. But it's one where the normal game plan might not be working. Get someone centre back and then have runners in behind, you know, like Son used to, where the classic Kane gets the ball, looks over the top for Son. It might be something similar to that. It's just a different game plan. So it's just nice to have that another like name on the bench that can do that instead of looking around, looking at the bench. Oh, how do we change it? And then it's always stayed the same. So he might not be great defensively. Is it a risk for that much money? Not really. I don't think. I mean, it's one thing for sure. You ain't going to see Lenglet on the back of anyone's shirt with like you ain't. Yeah, that's not. You're not kidding anyone with that. But no, it'll be interesting. I mean, like I said, he's not the main man, is he? So get him in.
And I think you're right. I think you said obviously the rotation is key up top, but it'll also be for the legs at the back. And obviously, we've spoken about a lot, obviously, about it's his age as well and potentially what he can bring to the club in terms of experience. Because I know, Jay, we can talk lots about young players coming in, but they kind of need those players that they can kind of look up to. And I think for €5 million, for someone that's played at Barca, has done this, that, and that, do you not think it'd be quite nice to have him in the backroom staff as well?
I mean, I sound like a broken record when I'm on this podcast, I swear. It's confidence. Lenglet's looked awful the last couple of seasons, mainly because Barcelona have been awful the last couple of seasons. If you're having 15 attacks at you every game and your left back's making a mistake, your right back's making a mistake, it just feeds into the negativity. But if you're talking about adding to the back room, you've got Spanish League champion, UEFA Nations League champion, Spanish Cup winner, Spanish Cup Winners' Cup winner. You know, this is, again, just adding to a dressing room full of players that have got experience winning trophies. And for a loan, if he's there for a year, if he's crap, he's crap. If he's not, he's not. And I think what you said earlier about the Kulusevski and the Bentancur, I know Bentancur was perm, but, you know, I don't think we would be going for these players if Conte or Paratici did not see them fitting into this team and being a positive influence on the team, on the pitch and off it. You know, under Hitchin, and when we were just signing players willy-nilly because, you know, he's got a 5-star rating on Football Manager in 4 years' time. Let's go and sign him. You know, that was our policy. It's like, oh, who does the media think good? Let's get them in. It seems like now they've just been given the rein, and it seems like clever business. You know, the whole football ecosystem seems to be going towards this try before you buy kind of mentality with transfers. If you look at like Romero and obviously Kulusevski, it's kind of like, look, there's no point us forking out all of this money, but if you loan him to us and he's decent, we'll take him off your hands for the fee that we agreed, or we can negotiate a fee at the end of the deal. But for me, he's got experience. Yeah, he might be a little bit wobbly, but what Spurs player isn't? You know, I think he'd fit in perfectly in our team, to be honest. Yeah. You know, Patrick said it earlier about Dyer, Romero, Davies. For me, he's better than Dyer in the experience, in my opinion, and probably
he's better on the ball than Ben Davies, definitely. And to be fair, the clips and stuff I've seen of him dribbling out, he's actually really good at that. Very good. I know these are highlights, so I've seen games, but yeah, I mean, we made Davinson Sanchez. I say we are. I know I'm being a bit like tongue in cheek here because the players are still good enough; they have to perform. But Davinson Sanchez coming for the last 5 or 6 games, and he looks solid. So I think with a back three, Conte drilling the drills into them, playing like you said, Jay, with confidence in a team that they know they can be trusted in and believe in, you might see a new Lenglet. So we know the guy can play, but it's hit and miss, but like you said, it's a loan, so it's not really that big of a risk if everything is true as what they're saying.
The thing is, as well, is that again, it goes back to the 5 subs rule next year. I think people on Twitter specifically are really forgetting this. They're forgetting that next year, if teams like us, Arsenal, maybe Chelsea, because I wouldn't put them in the same bracket as City and Liverpool, if teams like us don't recruit big players to sit on our bench next year, City and Liverpool are going to walk away with the league. They're going to walk away with it because they've got too much quality on the bench for rotation, for big games, to change things. It's just, you know, experience is what you're going to need. You're going to need to bring on experienced players. And I think it's a tiny bit of business if it goes through.
And I think you guys all kind of hit on the head. I mean, someone wrote here about, obviously, Chris has written about he'd take him over Rodon and Tanganga. And the only difference between them two and Lenglet is probably because Lenglet's already established. He's 27. He's already established himself as a player. And I think that is something that I've noticed as well with this. Obviously, apart from Kulusevski, shall we say, everybody's coming in and they're who they are. They know exactly who they are. And like I wouldn't say I'm the best on transfers. I definitely wouldn't say I was the best at transfers, but I know who Lenglet is. And I think that's something as well that I think I'm kind of sitting back and thinking, okay, we're actually meaning business. Yes, this is quite a nifty deal because it's only €5 million. And like Jay says, we're trying before we buy. So it will be very interesting. Obviously, the other signing that could potentially happen before, obviously, Saturday is obviously Spence. I've spoken about Spence so much, I don't want to keep talking about him. But we all know who he is. We know what he could offer to the side. Whether he's going to make it in the starting 11, who knows? But it looks like that deal is going to go through. So I don't want to talk about that anymore because it's doing my nutting. But anyway, I want to move on to Anthony Gordon because there is rumours that there could be some sort of new deal going on. Because we've given Dele Alli to Everton. If he makes 20 appearances, which I'm assuming he will reach that target very soon when the new season starts, we are looking to take that 10 million away and offer 20 mil for Anthony Gordon, which means we would have spent 30 mil on Anthony Gordon. Now, Patrick, if that was the case, we spoke about Anthony Gordon last week, saying that he's obviously only 21. He can play on both flanks. He could be a potential replacement for Bergwijn. If that was the case, and it was technically 30 million, would you be happy with that potentially going over the line?
I don't know, man. I mean, I've seen him play, and don't get me wrong, every time I've seen him play, I think he was pretty much Everton's only bright light last season. I mean, in terms of, we all know what Richarlison can do, so people almost part that. You know, Richarlison was comfortably Everton's best player and the guy that got them out of most difficult spots. But Gordon was a guy who really impressed me. He is tenacious, he can dribble, he's got a bit about him. He's young. It's a gamble, of course, because, you know, how often would he play in this Tottenham team? But then also, like Jay saying, there's 5 subs. We've got a condensed number of games before and after the World Cup. So there possibly will be spots for him. So it's not a deal I'm against. But also if we miss out on him, as long as we still bolster the squad, I'm not too bothered. But the fact that, you know, we need homegrown players, that's why it's the one that makes a lot of sense. But I've also read reports that Everton will not sell in this window because the backlash from the fans will be unbearable. They're already pissed off that they've sold Richarlison, but everyone understands that it makes sense from a financial standpoint because they are, you know, they're messed up with FFP. But if they sell Gordon, I think the fans will essentially riot. So I don't know how realistic it is we get him, but I'm not against it because from what I've seen of him, he is a good player.
And I think that's the thing. Obviously, there's lots of people saying it now as well, that obviously Everton won't be happy, like Darren's saying here, kicking Everton when they're down. It is slightly true, but I think, like we've kind of said, it would be a great deal, if not for now. And I know that Tottenham recruitment in the past has been for the future, but Max, the thing is for him, he is technically, I wouldn't say well established in the Premier League, but he knows how to play in the Prem. And like Patrick said, he was one of Everton's bright lights last season.
Yeah, I think the one of the key moments that I remember, I mean, not that I've seen much of him, but I see at Anfield. I think I can't remember if he came on or whether he started, but he literally changed that game. He looks like he's got a burst of energy about him. He's quick. He's a bright spark, and the fact that, you know, you ain't going to get anyone cheap, especially homegrown. Any day, like it's that sort of climate now in football. There's no cheap signings from a Premier League club. Like it doesn't happen. There was a comment that I actually saw on the side. It was it Hill? It was Brian Hill, and then the other one, and Sarr. That was it. I mean, I would like to see how either of them could play under Conte. I mean, it's a totally different system. Whether he's looked decent. I mean, we've seen bits. Sarr, I couldn't tell you much about, but obviously he's been on loan.
I watched him at AFCON the last couple of games because he had COVID, so he didn't really play that. But he looked good when he played. Seen him now and again in the French league. He's decent. A bit skinny.
But then,
still need to bulk up.
That's the thing. But if they are good enough, then would Conte, other than the homegrown side, would he be looking elsewhere? I don't know. It's I've been very on the edge with Gordon. If it happens, fair enough. If it doesn't, I'm not too disheartened because we've got players that are similar to him in that position, right? He's not walking into the side. He's just coming to be a rotation player, and I think there's obviously other players out there that are homegrown. I mean, you just got to, obviously off the top of my head, I'm useless at that, but that's what they obviously get paid the big bucks to obviously organise and sort out. And I can't see it. Like you said, Everton will literally collapse in terms of that fan base if if
I
Gordon is
I
pulled away.
can't see it because of the Richarlison. If it wasn't for Richarlison, I think they would be more than happy. I say happy, but with the money offered, yes. But I can't see it happening. I think more realistic targets for us, and again, these are just off the top of my head. I don't think there's any legs to it, but James Maddison would be a good one. Todd Cantwell from Norwich, he looked really good a couple of years ago. I'm not sure what's happened to him recently,
he's bright
but
spot.
yeah, he's really good. Those kind of players, like, creative, still youngish and English. That's who I'd be looking at, that kind of ilk.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I mean, we're going to get on to obviously back at training today where we'll talk a bit more about Hill and Sarr, but just sticking with Gordon, I think for me, I would take him, but Jay, like everybody's kind of said, I think Everton will probably go into meltdown, especially because we've been there. Their ground is getting torn down, and they're going to be building a new one. So not having Gordon, not having Richarlison and then losing Gordon, I think
the fans will help. The fans will help knock it down. That'll be for sure.
That is true. That is one.
Anthony Gordon is home. He's one of their own, isn't he? So that it's not going to go down well. I can't see them doing it this window. It just, they got to still be a bit sensible. So.
But Jay, I know we've kind of spoken quite a bit, but do you think if you had a crystal ball, could it potentially happen, or you're saying nah?
I think we only need to sign him if Gill goes out the door. Really, I don't think now the wings is a position that we particularly need any more extra cover than what we already have. That's really it for me. I like him. I think he's good. I wouldn't say no to signing him. I wouldn't want to pay over the odds for him. I'd happily send your boy Harry the other way as part of the deal. But I'm not fussed. He is a shithouse. Again, I keep using that term. They're my favourite sort of players. I fanboyed over Eric Lamela from the day we signed him, just purely because of that fact. Even though he was awful for most of that time. It's just players I like. I like him. Like Max said, that him and Richarlison in that Merseyside derby were the two most exciting players to watch. So, yeah, again, proven-ish in the Prem. Do I want to sign him? No. Would I rather the money went elsewhere? Yes. That's where I kind of stand.
That's the thing, though. The only thing that could potentially offer anything, straight up, we'll sign him. Everton would literally collapse. But let's say there was some sort of swap deal that could benefit Everton, because let's face it, they're going to struggle to bring players in, and it could work if we give them money and give them a couple of players going the other way. You never know. I mean, there's players that we know that aren't going to be featuring next season. So if we can offload them, why not? Why not try and offer that in part of the deal? But if it had have happened or was going to happen, it would have happened all in one deal. I feel like when we signed Richarlison, because remember there was just, we're going to get both. Like that was one of the headlines. Oh, we're in for both. And if that was the case, it would have just been wrapped up all together, unless there's obviously they Spurs obviously looked at that and they thought it's going to be hard to get Gordon because of what we've just spoke about. So yeah.
No, that is fair. I get what you both said. I've just seen this comment from R2DT. I don't mean to wind you up, Jay, but he's just written this. So moving on very quickly from that one, because we all know Poch is Jay's favourite manager. I just want to stay with you, Jay, actually, before you lose it after that comment, and talk about that. Obviously, Tottenham were back at training today, and it was nice to see a few faces. Obviously, Skip's back in the mix. We've obviously got Pape Sarr, which I don't know too much about. Do you know quite a bit about him, Jay, or you kind of with everybody else ain't really seen a lot of the geezer?
I'm going to sound like an absolute idiot and say I only know Football Manager and FIFA stats. And no, he's going to struggle to get into the team with the depth that we've got next year, which is why it was kind of an interesting signing at the time when we bought him in, because it was like, okay, is he going to come straight in? And then we loaned him out. Is he getting into the midfield over Højbjerg, Bentancur, Skip, Basuma, Harvey White? Any of those, is he getting in over any of them? Has any of us seen enough of him to know if he's going to get in? Probably not. But the fact that they're back at pre-season, the one that I can't believe we've not talked about yet is that Gio was smiling in pictures at training. Very, very, very peculiar to see that, considering the circumstances on the way he left.
Because he's doing well in Love Island, isn't he?
Yeah. But it's just. I don't know. I just think I'm intrigued to see what Conte said, because he seemed to bring everyone back and everyone seems to be, I don't know if it's just the normal going through the motions, but whether he's kind of gone, look, I'm going to give you all this preseason tour to prove yourself. If you ain't good enough, we're going to get other people in and we're going to ship you out, which would make sense, because you'd think players like Gio to Villarreal would already be done and gone, if that conversation hadn't been had. So again, midfield, now that we've signed Basuma, I don't think it's a position that we need any extra players in, and any if we can make any money off any players we've signed or even free up some wages, then yeah, but until we see anything of him, and hopefully we will do in pre-season, but if we don't, then you kind of already know that the writing's on the wall.
That's a great point. And I like the point you make as well, obviously, that we know that we're trying to get these signings in before this career tour. And Patrick, I'll come to you because I've just thought about it as well. The fact that obviously Ndombele, dare I say it, is still floating around in the mix. Could this be, with Conte coming in, could this be his redemption, shall we say? Because like Jay says, with Gio coming back, with Ndombele potentially, I would assume, being part of this career tour, could this be the kick up the butt he needs? Or do you think he's just like, yeah, whatever?
I mean, I hope so. I mean, I always, I want, whilst they're in a Spurs shirt, I want the best for every player. And even when they leave us, like, for example, Eriksen looks like he may be headed to Man United. I wish him well. Obviously, I don't want him to do better than us in terms of our team, but you always want the best for players when they're ex-Spurs as well. So Ndombele, while he's in a Spurs shirt and part of the makeup, the guy is super talented. We paid, crazy amount for him. He's on 200k a week. I hope and pray he gets his act together. If the fact that you're playing for one of the world's best managers, you've got some of the world's best players in your team, and we're back in the Champions League. If you can't get your acting gear for that, then you don't deserve to be a professional footballer. You've got everything at your disposal. We're not a mid-table club. We're not a club that doesn't have an identity, and we're fighting for 7th or 8th. We're now back in the Champions League. We have direction. What more do you want? But these kind of guys, the Lo Celsos, your Ndombeles, they just flatter to deceive. They have a decent preseason and then they tail off. So if that's the case, then just go now. But if they can get that together and they can provide, because we're looking for a creative midfielder, somebody that can thread the lines, find that bit of space, come into the pockets and ping the ball about and move the ball about, carry the ball. We've got pretty much every other profile, but we don't have that. And Ndombele and Lo Celso were both meant to be those guys. So we've got them right at home if they can get that together. So I'd love to see it. But if I'm being real, I don't think we will, because we've given them so many chances. But to be fair, the team isn't toxic anymore. The team is playing. They know what they're doing. So, we'll see. 5 subs next season, a lot of games coming back to back. Who knows? We've seen other players pull it back before from places deeper than this. So I hope they do, man. I'm not a toxic fan. I don't believe our fan base is toxic. We do want the best for these players and for our team, but we've also given them so many chances. How many more chances do you give a guy? You know what I mean? So it's one of them ones.
No, you're right. And like going back to obviously the refresh thing and the fact that I think Conte is giving people a chance, because now thinking about it, like when Jay mentioned it, I think it does kind of make sense that he's going to give everybody a chance on this preseason. And Max, are you kind of on the same thing? Because I think although Ndombele has abundance of a talent, there's no putting that out there. He does have it. It just doesn't seem to apply himself. And that's just the most frustrating thing. And it's so frustrating to talk about it. And like Patrick said, missing Eriksen, obviously that deal looks like it's going to happen to Man United. And that was a free. And he could do potentially what Ndombele can do for pretty much no money, shall we say. So could this be it for him, do you think? Because I don't think we're going to be able to get him out.
It pretty much is it for him in terms of, I don't know, it's like he's got so much ability that we've seen. I haven't seen someone with that's like what he can do, and like the way he drops the shoulder and can just beat players is just absolutely ridiculous. I haven't seen it in a long time. I haven't seen it since like the other Dembele days. So his technique, his touch, his ability, second to none, brilliant. But it was always down to fitness and attitude. And you've got one of the best managers in the league. You can see we're going forward. Like Pat said, why would you not want to come back, give 100%, and then I mean, in the past I've been a very fickle football fan, and let's say he had a string of games where he was nutted down, giving it his best, I would be absolutely loving him. I'd be like, look, I'll put it in the past, because this season's different. We've got a new manager. We're chasing like big things this season. We're going for it. We're spending money. We're not just sitting back this season. So if you want to be a part of that, get involved. Otherwise, don't be stropping around. Don't be sulking, and don't be in the changing room giving bad energy, because this is the season that we're making it. And if you want to be a part of that, this is your time, because he's got that ability to literally play there, in behind the striker, in like that midfield, like attacking midfield role. Be there, make it yours, and you'd be loved at Spurs. And the fact I can say you might be getting another opportunity is absolutely crazy, because we know if this was someone like Ben Davis, we'd be absolutely slating him and be like, see you later, you don't deserve another chance. I'm like that with Harry Winks. I can't bear to see him. But the fact that Ndombele's got that ability, it was like Pogba at Man United. Everyone knows how much ability that guy's got. He can ping a pass 50, 60 yards, one-touch football. His attitude, poor. That's why he's gone. He's gone. Man United obviously done with that, new manager, see you later. Similar with Ndombele. Are we going to see him go, or are we going to see him stay?
And I think the trouble is there's no one really sniffing around Ndombele. That's the most frustrating thing, regardless
Well,
of
I heard about Galatasaray, but I don't know what's happened. So I heard Galatasaray was on, but I've not seen anything. So maybe that's dead in the water. But yeah, you had a comment, Holly, from somebody talking about Alfie Devine possibly being that guy.
Here it is.
And that's a great shout, Chris. To be fair, I've not seen enough of Alfie Devine with the men's team to solidify that comment. But obviously, what we've seen him do at the under-19s, and shout out to him because they won that. And when he has played, he's looked sensational. But obviously, this is men's now. It's a whole different change. But hopefully, he does get a run out in the preseason, and we take it from there. But you're right, that is a good shout, and somebody that we're not really talking about, but definitely one for the future.
I mean,
because we're not. Sorry,
go Max. No, go.
It's only because this season's we've looked beyond the old, I'll get someone in for the future. That's why. And he is potentially, it's a big gamble for like, would you put him in a Champions League game? Would you know what I mean? It's like, hats off to him. He's hitting new heights. He's hitting new heights each month. He's playing well. He's obviously just won that of England, the Euro, like hats off. But this is the big league now. Like,
this is make the big boys.
Exactly. You got players. If you got someone that's worth 60 million that can't even get into the side, and we're debating, you were saying we're going to let someone that's got no experience whatsoever just have a run in this.
We had to do that with Harry Kane at one point when Pochettino
but we were
down on his legs.
We were then.
I know, but sometimes you need to give a kid a break. So I hear what you're saying.
Give him to Everton then. Give him loan him to Everton. Say there you go.
Loan him. I was going to say don't give him.
Loan.
I mean, Jay is one to talk about the kind of kids below, because we've had many conversations in the past. Obviously, not when we've been doing so well, but why don't you just give the youngers a go? So, Joe, I come to you about Alfie Devine. Like, would you give the guy a chance? Maybe not in the Champions League game, but would you give him a chance?
My head is 100% with Max. My heart is 100%. No, other way around. No, correct way around. Correct way around. My head is 100% with Max, and my heart is 100% with Patrick. I would love to see him get a chance. Are we the same team we were when Harry Kane came through the ranks? No.
Of course.
You know, I've been placarding for Harvey White to replace Harry Winks for the past God knows how long, and that's not even happened.
I think that's just to wind me up.
That's just to wind you up, yeah. But no, I just think, you know, I'd love to see it, but I just don't think it would benefit us to do it. Play him in League Cup games, play him in FA Cup games, put him on the bench in FA Cup games. You know, he played against Marine. You know, if we would want to talk about levels, he played against Marine and did okay. And that was against a 9th tier team. And considering, you know, it took us a while, but we did eventually beat them. Big up Vinicius with his whatever it was. You know, that's the one. And 9th tier Marine. But no, I'm all for the youngsters. I'm all for bringing them through. I think the way that it needs to be done in this day and age, it seems, is if they're not going to cut it at anything lower, the Championship is it. If they don't go out on loan to the Championship and perform, and be in a promotion team or a team chasing promotion or score a few goals outside of that. You know, Adam's made a good point about like Jack Clark, Dennis Kirkin was supposed to be the best left back to ever exist
I
on
remember
planet
that
Earth.
guy. Yeah, I remember that guy.
We sold him to Sunderland, and he got promoted, which is great. But are Sunderland going to get promoted to the Premier League next year? No. So is it a massive loss? Cam Carter-Vickers has been with us for about 400 years, and he's finally gone out the door. He was another one that never
thank
really got a
God.
chance in the first team.
What about the one that went to Blackburn? There was one that went to Blackburn.
Dillian Markandy.
Yeah, I need to see more about him. There was a bit of an uproar when he left, but to be fair, I didn't really see that much of him. So I heard he's a talent, but I need to see more of him. I
just think the footballing system is not what it used to be anymore, and I think teams are a lot less likely to take risks on younger players, mainly because it's so competitive now. And you've got the Premier League too, but that's not the same. It's not the same. I guarantee you that, Garnacho that plays for Man United, I'd be surprised if he makes an appearance next year in any games. All of these players, I really think they need to go out on loan. Again, Parrott is another one. He goes and plays for Franchise FC, scores a couple of goals, and everyone's all of a sudden like, oh, can he get back in? Forgetting that he's playing in League One. And we're playing in the Champions League now, which goes back to what Max was saying, that we're not that club anymore. We can't afford to take those risks. These kids, if they want to get in that first team, they need to go out on loan or take the opportunities they're given, not, someone's injured, or, all right, we'll give you a go. They need to prove themselves before they get that chance, rather than give them the chance to prove themselves.
I think you made a great point there. And obviously the one person that is basically gone through that system is Skip. He went out on loan to Norwich, was it? I'm going to get it all wrong, but it was to Norwich.
It's Norwich, it's Norwich, yeah.
Proved himself, and now look where he is now. He's been injured, but he's going to be taken pre-season by full storm, and he'd potentially be that player in that mid. So I think it's one of those testament to that. You work hard, you prove yourself, that's it, you get your break. So hopefully he can maintain that next season. But before we wrap things up, I really want to get everybody's thoughts. I've been doing this every week now at the end of the show, and that is to kind of get who you would like in at Tottenham. And I want it to be realistic. I don't want us to go out and say, I don't know, Messi or whatever. It could be Ronaldo.
Neymar.
It could be Ronaldo now, considering he wants Champions League football, So, but what I'm saying is, who would you want in that's potentially realistic? Like, you could see it happen. You could see Fabio cooking with it. So, Patrick, I'll come to you first. Okay. Who would be like your ideal scenario, perfect scenario?
LCB, I think we really need to, so that's left centre back. I think we really need to bolster that. Shout out to Ben Davies, but I like the guy, want him in the squad, but I think we can really get a quality player there and he'll take us up a level. So Garvidal, Bastoni, Bremer, and possibly even Pau Torres. I'd want one of those four there. A real quality left-sided player. And then we got Ben Davies as backup and rotation. I think we'd go up another level or two.
And I think that's true. I think that is the one position, and like those players you've kind of said, we all have been linked to. So on that kind of sense, I see where you're coming from. Max, what are your kind of thoughts? Do you kind of on the same vibe or something totally different?
I think that's the one position that, I mean, it looks like the right back's going to be Spence, and that'll be that. Won't have another right back. It's just that centre back spot on the left side is just so, next season. Well, he's already said that he knows how big that position is. We've got players everywhere else on the pitch that can like fit in and do a job. You need to build from the back. We need to make a point, 50, 60 million on someone that's going to, I still think Bastoni, like that's the, whenever someone says, think of a centre back, I know it's obviously hard when you're put on the spot, but it's like he's there. Let's just tempt in there with a big bid, and go from there. I know he wants to. Obviously, we're not that team anymore. We're not just showing interest. Like, drop 50 million. Say, look, we want him, even though he's one that could be one for the future as well. But he's already making a name for himself. He wants to be captain. Come to Spurs. Come and fight in Champions League. Come work with Conte, and make a name for yourself in like the best league in the world. That's what I'll be putting across to him. So he's the one that comes to mind. But yeah, I'm more than happy with either one that Pat said. I mean, I think they're all decent. It's just, get a big centre back in to play with, whether Dyer or Romero at the back.
I think that's me as well. Like, Bastoni is the geezer. I think obviously he's been the big name target. It's just that he loves obviously where he is.
Yeah.
But Jay, have you kind of thought, so is there someone in your mind that you would want to come over?
I mean, I'm loving Tottenham Bahrain's suggestions. I don't know if he's got ties to the Prince of Bahrain and can lend us some money to sign all these players he's suggesting. I saw Jude Bellingham earlier in the chat and nearly made me fall off my seat. But no, I definitely think, like we've all said, I've got to go out and say I do disagree with Patrick in the sense that I definitely don't think we need a creative midfielder just because of the system we play. And we've already got some players in that I don't... That forward three, it's 5-2-3 for me. I think you need a ball-winning midfielder and a box-to-box that can kind of pick a pass, but isn't Eriksen and not going to track back and do his defensive duties, in my opinion. And I know that the system could be different come this season, and then we might need one. But as of right now, I definitely don't think we need to improve in the midfield. Attacking-wise, again, I'm not fussed about improving, looking at the signings we've already made. And then... It's what everyone else has said, sadly. It's defenders. It's Bastoni. I'm not keen on Bremer. Only because
why not? Because
I've not heard of him before this season. And to me that signs that he's I know obviously we're going to say Jed Spence is exactly the same. But homegrown and young to me are big tax on signings, in the sense that to me that's an incentive to get someone in, the homegrown and young. If you can fill as many homegrown positions as possible, that frees you up across the board to get other players in. But yeah, Bastoni would be the dream signing. If we're talking dream signings, I'd love Bastoni. Obviously, going back a couple of seasons, Skriniar would obviously be, we might as well just be a Juventus, Everton and Inter Milan feeder team at this point. But, it's just, that's got to be it. It's got to be defenders, attacking wise, nothing, midfield, nothing. And we've got one of the best goalkeepers in the Premier League. So
I even saw Kim Pembe for PSG is out of contract as well. But I don't... He's obviously, I've just known him as a big name just through playing for PSG. I don't actually know what he's like, whether he's good defensively. Or...
I saw a rumor on Twitter saying that Pochettino, one of Poch's last things is he said to Kim Pembe, Tottenham put an offer in for you, make sure you accept it. I don't know how true that is. But it's like, okay, cool. That sounds good to me, man. I'll take it.
You probably would though. Like, yeah, probably would.
That is fair. So I think we're kind of on the same agreement. I think I just want Bastoni as well. It's just going to be so hard to tempt him over. And who would have thought it, Like Champions League football, Conte, great stadium, this, that and the other. It's just what he wants, isn't it, really? I'm hoping because we've done most of our business so early that hopefully we can tempt him to come over a bit better. We put all of our effort into getting him across. But if not, like we've all kind of said, the people we've kind of wanted are people we've already spoken about or already been whispers of in the transfer market. So hopefully one of those come across. But it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next couple of days. And to Matt, thank you for joining. I know that you don't want Harry Winks, you're sad about Richie, but if you go back, we have already spoken about Lenglet, so go rewatch for me. That would be great. But yeah, it'd be interesting. Like I said, it's still got a little while to go, and it's a very strange position to be in as a Tottenham fan to have done all of these deals so far, very decent deals, and to still think there could be more coming in, especially that left centre back.
I forgot to add this.
Stick it on and sing. Go on.
Here's the reason. We're getting Champions League next season.
I love it. I need one of those, I think. But no, it's been a very nice conversation tonight. I've really enjoyed it, talking about everything that's gone on so far. So before we go, I'd like to say to everyone where we can find each other. So Patrick, first of all, where can everybody find you doing your thing, my friend?
Yeah, so once again, thank you for having me on. Been a pleasure, Max and Jay, as always. And you can see my Twitter handle right there, at Patrick Tyrant. Follow me on Twitter. You'll see everything I'm up to. I'm always on the Coys Come On You Spurs.com podcast. That's on a break at the moment. We'll start when the season resumes. But at the moment, the Football Terrace, so TFT with Terry Flewers, I'm on there at least once or twice a week as the Spurs resident fan and pundit in the Big Six show. So yeah, that's where you'll find me and see me.
I love it. Thank you again, Patrick. Also, to Max, thank you very much. I think Spurs Lad is going to cry because he missed it earlier, so you're going to have to sing it for him before you go.
He's Brazilian. He only cost 60 million. And this is the bit I actually always muck up. So how's it go? Ready? He's here, and we think he's brilliant. Oh, it's
Hey.
gone. It's gone. It's gone.
He said
No, you're
Siri
still
again.
there. You're still there.
Oh, Siri was gone. Anyway,
Oh,
I think they
it's
get.
still
I think they get.
Really?
Basically, if they want to hear the real version, they got to go to my TikTok. All
Yeah,
right?
just check out his TikTok, man. It's all over there. Or it's on
Oh,
Twitter.
dear.
Just type it in, Everton Chant.
But yeah, no, I appreciate it. I appreciate having me back on. It's always good to talk about Spurs. When there's good things to talk about Spurs, it's the best because you feel like you can just waffle for ages. And there's nothing worse sitting after when you lose and then you've got to talk about a game.
Oh,
It's
mate,
it's
the
awful.
worst.
Nah, good times, positive vibes. Everyone in there, yeah, it's been a pleasure. And if anyone actually in the chat hasn't seen any of my content, then obviously Extra Max on pretty much all the socials. So yeah, look forward to the new season and yeah, up the Spurs.
Up the Spurs. No, I love it. Thank you again so much, Max. And Ben, quickly before I come to Jay, it's not the moment, but it shall be next season because I'm going to be a bit more organised and I will fizz it on there. So watch out for that one. But last of all, Jay, thank you again so much for joining me tonight. It seems weird you just being over there, but where can everybody find you doing your thing?
The 3 T's, Twitch, TikTok, and Twitter at JJ Season. It's all the same thing. Yeah, just playing eFootball and Football Manager and stuff like that, and anti-Poch propaganda on the timeline on Twitter all day long, baby.
Of fabulous. And I want to say a big thank you as well to everybody that's been in the chat tonight. It's been a very lively one. If you've got any mates or you've got any family that like to listen to my dulcet tones or to chat about Tottenham, please get them to subscribe. I would love to get to 2K before the season starts. That'd be
what are
quite
you on right
amazing.
now, Holes?
I haven't got a clue. 1.86. So we've got a little way to go.
You're getting there. You're getting there.
Slowly. But no, thanks to everybody that's been in the chat tonight.
You'll get there. You'll get there.
Fingers crossed. I hope so. But anyway, like I say, thank you to everybody that's been in tonight. These guys on the panel. Hollie Hotspurs Live will be back next Monday, same time, same place with some more guests. So hopefully by then we have signed some new players. That would be fabulous. But until next time, come on, you Spurs.